Good evening and welcome to Nationwide on NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori. The presidency has reacted to some public concerns over President Muhammadu Buhari's non-reaction to Supreme Court's judgment on the issue of the 500 and 1,000 naira old currency notes. The statement notes that at no time did the government instruct the Attorney General and the CBN governor to disobey any court order involving the government and other parties. From the time the president was sworn into office in 2015, he never once directed anybody to defy court orders, in the strong belief that democracy cannot be practiced without the rule of law, and the commitment of his administration to this principle has not changed. The presidency therefore wishes to state clearly that President Buhari has not done anything knowingly and deliberately to interfere with or obstruct the administration of justice. Neither is he a micromanager who will stop the Attorney General and the CBN governor from performing the details of their duties in accordance with the law. The presidency also says it is debatable if there is proof of willful denial by the two of them on the orders of the Apex Court at this point. The directive of the President following the meeting of the Council of State is that the bank must make available for circulation all the money that is needed, and nothing has happened to change the position. It is an established fact that the President is an absolute respecter of judicial process and the authority of the courts, and has not acted in any way to obstruct the administration of justice, cause lack of confidence in the administration of justice, or otherwise interfere or corrupt the courts. It is therefore wide of the mark to blame the President for the current controversy over the cash scarcity. Despite the Supreme Court's judgment, the CBN has no reason not to comply with court orders on the excuse of waiting for directives from the President. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria says old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes remain legal tender. The Apex Bank, in a statement by its Acting Director Corporate Communications, Isa Abdulmumini, directs all deposit money banks operating in Nigeria to comply with the Supreme Court's judgment of March 3, 2023. The statement also advised all concerned to comply accordingly. And the Central Bank of Nigeria is now complying with the Supreme Court's judgment, reintroducing the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes as legal tender till the 1st of December 2023. Bosede Ebo, who has been following this policy, has an update.
There is a new wave of reactions by Nigerians following the CBN circular that the old Naira note of 500 and 1,000 Naira remains legal tender.
Now, this is the present situation at some ATM terminals. After waiting on the queue for hours, Ibrahim Mahmoud is excited that his old 500 Naira note was accepted by a beverage seller.
I feel happy. I just try and see if she can collect it, because I have this before the deadline of CBN.
I feel so happy, and I'm still praying for more. Anyone they have permit us to use, they should go and bring it out.
The announcement has come today. We are sure that maybe by the end of today, the initial resistance towards it will ease off. And then Nigerians are also very interested in the availability. Let it be available.
With allegations before now that some banks were disbursing the old Naira notes, how acceptable are the notes by traders now that it is official?
So if they give me, I can collect as far as they approve it.
Okay, well, it's a welcome development. I congratulate government for doing that because we're happy.
Since when government announced it, because I hear it by myself from my NTA station, so I started collecting it.
It is anticipated that as the days go by, both the old and new redesigned notes will be available for Nigerians to meet their daily financial needs. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo, NTA News.
Sincerely, we eagerly hope so. Thank you, Bosse. There is now ease of financial transactions in Abuja, Ogun State, as commercial banks comply with the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria, thereby disbursing the old Naira notes. Yemi Dalima reports that economic activities have picked up within a short time.
Before the CBN's directive, residents of Abuja encounter difficulties in getting cash as some of them arrive banks as early as 4 in the morning to pick numbers, which enables them access to the banking hall, while others wait long hours at the ATM points.
Here is Okelewo, the commercial center of Abuja, where majority of banks operating in the city of Abuja are located. The directive by the CBN has now started taking effect on the banks, as the banks have started complying with the directive by paying the old Naira notes to their customers.
We are very happy for this development.
The introduction of the old note bags to the masses will actually at least bring relief.
The bank were just giving us the old notes without any issue.
We are happy that we can spend our old notes with our new notes in December.
The central bank's directive is also being complied with by commercial drivers, motorcyclists, businessmen and women who now transact with both old and the new Naira notes.
Now, if you are going to somewhere, if you said that it's old note you have, it's no problem for me to collect.
Since the government has directed us to be collecting the old notes, I now collect both the old and the new Naira notes.
I am now collecting the old and the new notes.
Residents who express satisfaction with this development urge banks to load their ATMs adequately. In Abuja, Yemi Dalimo, NTA News.
And from Abuja, let's head to Lagos, where Adeola is standing by with some reports. Over to you, Adeola.
The public domain in Lagos State is responding positively to the CBN directive on the acceptance of the old Naira notes. But the big worry for the people is the capacity of the banks to disburse these notes. Michael Olaleye went around the metropolis for a situation report.
This statement emanating from the CBN raised ray of hope to an impending end to weeks of uncertainty on the Naira swap policy. In a bid to have a clearer picture of the scenario, my verification mission started from this park, where I told the bus driver that his acceptance of the old Naira note will determine if I will board the vehicle. He gave a positive answer, but laid bare some facts.
Normally, I collected it for some passengers, you understand? So, when I get to filling station, I'm expecting those filling stations to collect it from me. You understand? So that one will motivate my own morale in order to collect it from others.
The streets and the markets, no doubt, are responding well to the directive, with some traders giving proofs of transactions done with the old notes.
I've collected one already. This is the one I collected today. I've collected one. I'm not rejecting it. If I have access to it before, why wouldn't I collect it? It's in Nigerian currency.
I don't use and buy food today. I buy many things, a lot of things today. And I still use and pay for market where I buy this money.
For all the encouraging signals emanating from the public space, the old problems still persist at the banks.
Bank is saying no cash, no money. They are saying no money, no cash. I was here last week. I queued and queued. Later, there's no network, no cash. Just to, I'm making some transaction, transfer, receiving. I will transfer. They will say they are not getting the money.
We are trying to get, just the regular customers, not business people, to get all those monies that have been debited, refunded to our account. But as you can see, last week, they used to have a canopy here for comfort for people. Now, they've even taken off the canopy. So we are here under the sun for hours. Nothing is happening.
Regardless of this, there is optimism that the days ahead will ease the problem once the notes start flowing in. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
We sincerely hope everything will normalize very, very soon. Moving on, In every political contest, a winner must emerge. Most times, this does not go down well for the losers. What is, however, crucial is how the losing party handles their loss. Our correspondent examines the need to eschew violence and promote peace among all parties involved for the growth of a nation. The famous Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the 1964 Nobel Peace Prize for promoting non-violent means in his campaigns for civil rights reforms. And in 1993, the same honor was accorded Nelson Mandela for his virtue of perseverance in the pursuit of freedom for South Africa. In Nigeria, for instance, the resort to violence by some politicians, all in the guise of serving the people, remains inexplicable. For some time now, at elections, it has been observed that some citizens pay the ultimate price for leaders to be elected. Should this be so?
You cannot force somebody to vote your party. That's why it's an election. It's like a game. You know, if you have your supporters, they may not support you, some other will support you. But even when you win, it does not mean that you are not going to bring them into governance.
When you bring up your idea, probably based on the provisions of your manifesto of a political party or the ideology of that political party, we debate.
Each time the topic peace takes center stage, people forget that the concept is premised on other variables, chief of which is justice, as there can't be peace without justice. According to the philosopher Thomas Hobbes, the first and fundamental law of nature is to seek peace and follow it. While it is entirely correct that election is a game and not war, why then do some supporters of political parties truncate the process by perpetuating violence?
He said during the Civil War, he said to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. And I believe that during this next few months and weeks, we need to begin to re-irritate our people's mind to think Nigeria.
In 2015, the National Peace Committee initiated the Peace Accord, signed by the two major contenders to avoid actions that could promote violence before, during, and after the polls. This pattern was, however, adopted before the February 2023 elections.
The person that won can still work with the rest of all the people who took part in the contest. Okay? Try as much as possible to see how they can harness their strengths.
As Nigerians prepare for the governorship and State House of Assembly elections, observers say there is the need for the key actors and their supporters to give peace a chance and play the game as a healthy competition for the good of society. We'll take a break here. More messages. For some messages, Nationwide will continue with Kemi in Ibadan Network Center when we return. To stay with us.
Welcome to Ibadan. Residents of Ibadan, the real state capital, have complied with the Central Bank of Nigeria's directive that old Naira notes be accepted as legal tender in the transaction of businesses. Charity Agu, who went round town to monitor the situation, reports that the development has boosted commercial activities in the state.
The recent directive comes as a relief to many individuals and businesses that have continued to suffer from the cash crunch due to inadequate circulation of the redesigned Naira notes.
I get out no plenty for ourselves. Even me say I don't collect as a model man.
We are collecting the old money now. We are there happy to collect the money now. Everybody there happy now. With all those things happening now.
Though some of the automated teller machines were dispensing the old notes, ATM users at some commercial banks were left stranded as there was no cash as at the time of filing this report.
I thank God I was able to collect old notes. We are very, very, very happy about this development.
What I get is just the old notes, 10,000 naira. So they are not dispensing the new notes. We don't know why. So we don't have choice than to collect it. So we can try. Maybe people will collect it out there, but we are not sure. But let's just give it a try and see.
I withdrew 5,000 naira, the old notes, because I heard they said that we should be collecting it. That whenever we collect it, we can still come back to bank to deposit it.
It is the hope of Nigerians that more awareness would be carried out by CBN to enlighten the public and ensure total compliance with the directive. In Ibadan, Charity Agu, NTA News.
Traditional and religious leaders, heads of security agencies, as well as others who control various levels of influence have again converged on the Oyo State Police Command Headquarters, Eleyele, to reach a consensus for the conduct of a free, fair and credible elections in Oyo State. Grace Ayonlike brings us details.
The town hall meeting was to interact with the sect leaders and stakeholders responsible to influence the people towards maintaining peace in the state during the forthcoming governorship and House of Assembly elections. Commending the leaders for the roles played in ensuring a peaceful presidential and National Assembly elections in the state, the Commissioner of Police urged them to maintain the tempo as the electorate go to the polls to decide those who would run the affairs of the state.
A peaceful environment is all what we all desire, and therefore we need to join hands together. Security agencies cannot do it alone. Police cannot do it alone.
The stakeholders pledged to work with the police and other security agencies in ensuring free and credible election.
We, the security leaders, definitely monitor our campuses and make sure that there is no crisis in any campus. We appeal to the transport union to please step up their cooperation with us. We are the ones to pressure on men and material.
The meeting also saw the Commissioner of Police presented with an award of excellence by the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS Oyo State, for the peace and tranquility enjoyed within the state since his resumption. In Ibadan, Grace Ayonlike, NTA News.
That's it from Ibadan. Elizabeth is back to you.
Thank you so much, Kemi. President-elect Bola Tinubu has sent out a message of sympathy to traders affected by the recent fire outbreaks in KANO State. In a statement, Tinubu bemoaned the INFERNO which affected a section of single commodity market in the city on Monday, few days after similar incidents occurred in two other markets. The president-elect described the incidents as disturbing setbacks for the traders and the economy of the state. Bola Tinubu called on authorities concerned to get to the root of the rising cases of market inferno around the country and offer support that would cushion the losses suffered by affected traders. Now to politics. The Natives, a social-cultural political group, has held a solidarity rally in Abuja to support the outcome of the February 25, 2023 presidential election that produced Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president-elect. The group is advocating peaceful post-election atmosphere for national stability. Saliu Guanara reports.
Members of various civil society organizations and student union leaders participated in the solidarity rally on the streets of Abuja. The group appealed to those aggrieved with the outcome of the February 25th presidential election to allow a peaceful legal process.
So the sole purpose of this solidarity is to thank President Muhammadu Buhari. That's so. Let it be said clearly that no one Nigerian in this country is above everybody. So, we the voters voted Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
They pledged to be active in promoting democratic values and national unity. In Abuja, Saliu Guanara, NTA News.
Away from political matters, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy says it was able to block off a total of 12,988,978 cyber attacks originating both within and outside Nigeria before, during and after the presidential and National Assembly elections. The inaugurated Ministerial Committee on Protection of Nigerian Cyberspace and ICT Infrastructure for General Elections recorded series of hacking attempts, including distributed denial of service, email and IPS attacks, SSH login attempts, brute force injection attempts, path traversal, detection evasion, and forceful browsing. The established cybersecurity centers for securing the Nigerian cyberspace had to deal with increase in cyber threats on public websites and portals from more than 1 million daily, close to 7 million in the run-up to the 2023 general elections. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, directs mobile network operators to implement the approved harmonized shortcodes for providing certain services to telecommunications consumers in Nigeria. A statement from the telecom regulator notes that with this, the more than 226 million active mobile users can now use same 13 common shortcodes to access services across all networks. 310 is the harmonized code for check and balance, 311 for airtime recharge, 312 for data plan across all networks, 323 for data plan balance, 321 for shared services, while 996 is for verification of subscriber identity model SIM registration, NIN SIM linkage. In the same light, 300 is for call center help desk on all mobile networks, 301 for voicemail deposit, 302 for voice mail retrieval, 303 for borrow services, 305 for stop service. Meanwhile, the code 2442 is retained for do not disturb, unsolicited messaging, complaint management, while the common code 3232 is also retained for porting services. The old and new harmonized shortcodes will run concurrently until May 17, 2023, the deadline for all mobile networks to fully migrate from diverse shortcodes to the harmonized codes. Time now to head to Maiduguri Network Center, where Ladidi is standing by with some reports. Hello, Ladidi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to Maiduguri. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has sworn in 5 newly appointed judges with a call on the citizenry to be law-abiding and support the security operatives to ensure crime-free society. The swearing-in ceremony was held at the Government House, Maiduguri. Mohammed Goni reports.
The 5 judges sworn in by the State Chief Judge, Justice Kashim Zanna, at a ceremony presided over by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum, comprised Malam Buna Makinta, Bukar Malgui Umar, Hafsatu Isa Bapa, Mohamed Maina, and Amina Mustafa Ibrahim. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum said, speedy dispensation of justice is one of the topmost priorities of his administration and expressed commitment to ensuring that
it is for this and other reasons that the Borno State government is more determined in judicial matters, and because are the only hope left for the common man. In recent times, many judicial workers, including High Court judges, have meritoriously retired from the service. Hence, the need for government to fill in the vacant positions with competent and hard-working lawyers in an effort to allow the system to operate without hindrance.
The governor congratulated the new judges on their appointment based on personal integrity, competence, and hard work, urging them to live up to expectations. Professor Zulum stressed the need for synergy between the executive and judiciary, assuring to address the challenges confronting them for seamless dispensation of justice. State Chief Judge Justice Kashim Zanna noted the crucial roles played by judges and enjoined the newly appointed judges to live up to the tenets of the judiciary, adding that Borno State has been rated as the best in speedy dispensation of justice with reverse rate of awaiting trials, and further call on the new judges to consolidate on the gains made so far. Acting Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Hawa Abubakar, who expressed confidence in the appointees, used the opportunity to announce that Governor Zulum had directed a committee to assess all costs in the state for rehabilitation, adding that the committee had already submitted its report. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Theatre Commander, Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Ibrahim Salou Ali has inaugurated Special Court Martial to try about 30 erring personnel of the command. The Special Court Martial will be sitting in Maimalari Cantonment. Maimuna Garba reports.
Inauguration of the special court-martial is a routine operation in the theater where suspected armed personnel are tried for violating the established rules of the counter-insurgency operations in the northeast. About 30 personnel of the command will undergo trials in the special court-martial for committing various offenses of misconduct, abscondment from duty, among other violations of the Armed Forces Act and rules of engagement.
This court is convened to discharge the task assigned to it responsibly, as the service has found you worthy to do so. I assure you that this court would do justice to the accused persons. Justice would equally be done to the state as well as the victims with your cooperation and guidance.
Theater Commander Operation Hadinkai, Major General Ibrahim Sallau Ali, charged members of the court to be dispassionate in the discharge of their duties while living up to the professional calling and maintain decorum throughout the period of the court proceedings. While urging the court members to see the task given them as a sacrifice, General Ali charged them with achieving justice. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
And that does it from here. Nationwide continued with...
You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. Now to environmental pollution. The Federal Ministry of Environment has directed temporary shutdown of Junior Secondary School Q Soka, a suburb of Abuja, over pollution from solar power batteries. Onenge Fineface tells us more.
Installation of solar power in Junior Secondary School Gui Sauka in the Abuja Municipal Area Council is intended to provide off-grid, reliable source of electricity supply to facilitate learning and teaching. The idea is, however, threatening the health of the school community, no thanks to pollution from the solar power batteries, which are said to be emitting foul smell and discharging toxic chemicals.
So when they told me that this is what is happening in the school, I immediately instructed them to get somebody, an expert, who will disconnect the whole thing.
The environment and health impact is that it will be releasing these gases continuously, which are colorless, but they have odor and they are irritants. They can even irritate the GIT, gastrointestinal tract, and if it is in higher concentration or you take it today, tomorrow, then it can even affect the lungs.
The pollution is blamed on faulty installation and location of the batteries.
It's a result of where the batteries were kept indoors in a confined space. With the rest in temperature, ordinarily the battery must be affected, and we have witnessed that the batteries bulge and also start emitting the contents in the battery.
Environmental Health Council of Nigeria, at the instance of the Minister of Environment, has shut down the school temporarily for safe evacuation of the damaged batteries and decontamination of the polluted area. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Now, a bit in business. The federal government is finalizing steps towards achieving a framework for halal certification in Nigeria. The framework, to be approved by the Federal Executive Council before May 2023, is expected to activate a $7.2 trillion global market. Ben Adams has details.
Most food items off the shelf comes with the stamp 100% halal, which means it's safe and permissible for consumption. The global halal market was valued at $7.2 trillion in 2020 and is expected to reach $11.2 trillion by 2028. Thank you very much. The document being presented to the Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment by the Halal Committee contains recommendations to include the need to set up a global standard that will compete with international best practice, establishment of a national regulator for halal in Nigeria, and a fund.
We believe that the report has pointed the way forward in the quest to prepare our country to take advantage of the opportunities that exist in the global halal market.
Our own would be like a component that deals with the laboratory. We can handle that technical aspects regarding the laboratory setup, the equipment equipment, the training.
Having keyed into the African continental market, Mariam Katagum believes Nigeria stands to gain from the market in view of the multiplier effect that will accrue to the economy.
I'm optimistic that these recommendations will look at, and these will be able to help us move Nigeria towards making it a hub for halal products, not just in Africa but around the world. And I want to assure you of the commitment of government towards the implementation of the roadmap on halal.
It is expected that the framework receives legislative and executive attention to allow it to come into effect on or before May 2023. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Now, some pensioners who retired from the employment of the federal government have filed a suit challenging the alleged inability of government to review the pension scheme of civil servants. Olabode Arewa reports that the case was instituted to challenge the Pensions Act of 2014.
These are some of the pensioners waiting for their matter to be heard in courts. The 9 of them were the claimants, sued in representative capacities, dragging 7 agencies of the federal government before the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, sitting in Abuja. They are challenging the applicability of Section 173 of the 1999 Constitution as it applies to their emoluments. They want the court to determine whether the defendants are right in their alleged refusal to compulsorily review public pensions as mandated by the Pensions Reform Act of 2014.
That section of the Constitution did not discriminate between those on the old pension scheme and those on the contributory pension scheme. The federal government has not increased the pension and allowances of pensioners in the contributory pension scheme.
The defendants, namely Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, the Minister of Labour, the Minister of Finance, National Pension Commission, National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, in their preliminary objections, held that the claimants do not have the local standard to institute the case, as they neither represent the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, nor have they shown how their specific rights are being affected by the said action.
They do not have the locus to bring this action. This action can be approached administratively. There are issues, they are what we call non-justiciable issues, which can be approached administratively and not by maintaining an action in courts.
Justice Osato Awen Obaseki Osagi adjourned the case to May 19 for judgment. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
In other news, United States Fish and Wildlife Service International Conservation Chiefs Academy has appointed Nigerian Ranger Caroline Olori as the first in-person international alumni coach representing Africa. The appointment follows her performance at the Academy's training programs in the United States of America. Conservator General, National Park Service Ibrahim Goni says the development is an additional impetus to Nigeria's conservation efforts. A one-day capacity building workshop has been organized for case management officers in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to promote productivity. Ruth Aguele tells us more.
Life, they say, is dynamic and change is constant. To keep up with change and social challenges and ensure social case management officers are abreast with new dynamics, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is holding this one-day capacity workshop to boost efficiency and effective service delivery for these humanitarian actors.
Social work, being a helping, dynamic profession, requires constant professional training that will enable practitioners to meet up with international practices. There is therefore no doubt that it is through on-the-job experience and various trainings that will enable the officers to render effective services.
For some of the participants, the whole experience will help boost competence, improve values, and reorientation.
It will help the casework officers in handling issues, cases, how to handle their clients, on issues affecting families, marriages, personal issues, and so on.
It will strengthen their ability, their capability in all that they do in day-to-day activities in the office.
Beyond the dialogue, the changes are expected to be practicalized through effective case management in social welfare to build a society devoid of societal ills. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
Region security. In view of the dynamic nature of the battlefield, the Nigerian Army is developing the capacity of its officers to enhance their abilities to operate in a joint environment. This was the focus of the Military Secretary Career Planning and Management Seminar for 2023 to upskill human resource management as an imperative for professional Nigerian Army in the 21st century.
I would like to use this forum to reiterate the need for all to remain apolitical and professional. Great efforts must be in place to ensure that the conduct of our officers and men in the events that succeed the polls remains professional and above board. I therefore urge you to uphold the highest professional conduct during this period.
The issue of conduct and discipline, which remains a key consideration in the career planning process, as well as gender perspectives, have been added to make the seminar wide-ranging, balanced, and rich in content.
The program will also enhance the understanding of the requirements for career goals. Families of victims of last Saturday's kidnapping at Kuchibuni in Koba area of the Federal Capital Territory say the suspected gunmen have made contact to demand 120 million naira for the release of the victims. They spoke off camera to correspondent Onotu Yakubu, who was at the community for a situation update.
Homegrown Estate is a living construction site. The estate lies west on the valleys of Biajin-Kuba-Buhari Mountains and as well shares direct boundary with the Abuja-Kaduna rail line.
This broken part of the estate fence is a spot where the suspected gunmen were alleged by residents of the estate to have forced access into the estate. Now, the intriguing thing is that the forced access extends beyond these walls of the estate to as far as jumping over the gully just behind the estate and then broke the wall, which is the barrier for the Kaduna-Abuja rail line, which travels through this axis.
Inside the estate, silence overshadows the open space, except for the clicking ambience of construction equipment.
This story building and this access gate into this bungalow provided a platform with which 11 victims were taken into hiding by the suspected gunmen here in Kuchibuni.
In one of the premises, sites of chiseled gates to gain access, broken glasses from shattered windows, and bullet holes on doors through the living room and the kitchen confirmed the harrowing experiences of victims in the hands of the gunmen. Families of victims in captivity will not speak on camera, but confirmed that 11 persons were kidnapped by the unknown gunmen from 4 flats in an operation which lasted a couple of hours. Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
The founder of Aspire Women Forum, Zainab Mara, has unveiled a book of 264 pages titled 101 Nigerian Women of Impact, showcasing the inspiring stories of women who have excelled in their fields. The book unveiling was hosted by the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN in commemoration of the International Women's Day in New York. This coincided with the ongoing 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. The Deputy Permanent Representative of Nigeria to the UN, Ambassador George Edopa said the mission was happy to identify with the outstanding achievements and contributions women have made to the society through hard work and determination. The unveiling of the book in New York is viewed a record setter that Nigerian women stood at a beam of hope and inspiration to allow women globally. Similarly, various speakers made up of women in high-ranking positions internationally noted that women have stories to tell and commended the author for creating a platform to document the works women do to promote gender equality and women's rights. Generations to come, they say, will be inspired by the stories chronicled in the book described by the reviewer, Imo State Governor's wife, Shoma Uzodinma, as a journey through the lives of women who have found themselves in a position to make impact and those who are not afraid to dare. The author said her inspiration came from a passion to celebrate the incredible achievements of Nigerian women who are innovators and trailblazers that have broken down barriers and inspired others to follow in their footsteps. Governor Simon Lalong is asking Christian pilgrims from Plateau State to pray fervently for speedy development of the country while in the Holy Land. He was speaking during his farewell address to the pilgrims in Jos. Priscilla Gobninani reports.
Addressing the pilgrims, Governor Simon Lalong urges them to use the pilgrimage as an avenue to reaffirm their faith in God and develop themselves spiritually. While asking them to intensify their prayers for Nigeria in the Holy Land, the governor warns the pilgrims against any unwholesome conduct that will bring the name of the state to disrepute.
You are embarking on this spiritual exercise at a time when our nation is in dire need for prayers as we conclude the general elections. Please pray for Plateau State and Nigeria. I will have a smooth transition and also experience more stability, prosperity and happiness. You should also ask God to give our leaders and indeed all Nigerians the wisdom to unite.
Executive Secretary, Plateau State Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board, Reverend Father George Gorap, while challenging the pilgrims to see the spiritual exercise as an avenue to draw closer to God, appreciates Governor Simon Lalong for his willingness to deploy resources towards God's service.
Since 2017, Plateau State has the highest number of sponsorship in the country, and this has earned our governor the pilgrim-friendly governor.
420 Christian pilgrims from Plateau State are performing this year's pilgrimage in the Holy Land. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
Priscilla Grumnan there reporting. Still on religious matters, Islamic scholars say Muslims and Nigerians should forge a common front of band and national unity, irrespective of the outcome of elections that produced leaders at different levels. This formed the essence of this year's pre-Ramadan lecture of the Al-Nur Mosque, Abuja. Abdullah Ajia brings us details.
The annual pre-Ramadan lecture of the International Center for Islamic Culture and Education at the Al-Nur Mosque, Abuja, has become traditional for shaping and molding topical issues that are germane to the Ummah ahead of the holy month of Ramadan. This year, the focus was on life after elections, where Islamic scholars reminded the congregation of Allah's power of destiny upon His creators and the need to put aside differences in the choice of leaders during the presidential and National Assembly elections.
We highlighted a lot of issues between the Nigerian communities. We told the people to bear with each other, and life shall continue after election. We shall try to do good to each other.
Everybody should be given the chance to exercise his rights in electing according to his choice wherever he wants. But later on, we must remember that we have to live together as brothers who are keepers of each other.
The moral lessons by the clerics also have on the role leaders and citizens alike are expected to play in ensuring peaceful coexistence, security, and respect for others' rights and views.
That security is a collective responsibility, it is not an individual thing. So I implore all and sundry to be more security conscious.
With a historical background of leadership in Islam, Suffice to mention on the occasion is Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon him's demonstration of good neighborliness, selfless and just leadership to all. These dissenters say they will continue to promote and propagate to the Ummah. In Abuja, Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
And next, some sporting stories from Gift